since the first time I sat down here. We haven't gotten into the details yet. I had hoped that this month we could have an accountant here, but for various reasons, we don't. Some correspondence that I passed out with my board packet will explain some of what is going on there. He's coming down the home stretch. We will have something for you shortly. All right, under supervisor's comments, I introduced this meeting as a town hall meeting, which it has been for quite some time now. The town hall context, if some of you are not familiar with it, is everybody is allowed to speak, and the speaking is somewhat random, and people are questioned, their political views vented, and as a result of that meeting, candidates then stand for election. That's the New England style town meeting. This meeting and what I am proposing with the resolutions, you will note, is a carbon copy of last month. The town law manual that Chris keeps referring to, apparently this is a portion he doesn't like to read, but that portion of that manual indicates that this is a legislative session. A town board meeting is the equivalent of a meeting of the New York State Legislature or the federal Senate or House, with the same backup rules. Now, I had a fella stand in my face, shake his finger, and told me that if I proceed along this line, it would be the end of my political career. In my opinion, I don't have a political career. You will recall when I ran for election in this township, I said I would do everything I could to straighten out the mess. I didn't say I would stick around for 2 years to be a whipping boy. It is not going to happen. On this particular item, and you can laugh all you want, I'll get to you if it's necessary. On this particular item, there is no negotiation. I want to go back to the state rules. What is in the state manual? What is in the state manual indicates that public speaking is a privilege. You'll note my resolution indicates that the town board will address it, and the town board will come up with rules. That's the way it has to be. This is a legislative session. Now, for those of you that doubt my word, I would suggest you take the same tone, the same voice, and you take that same finger and poke it in Senator Schumer's nose and tell him just what you think about what he does all the while in the legislature. It's the same thing. We are making laws and rules for this local government. We need room to operate. We will negotiate the rules. This board will negotiate the rules. I won't dictate the rules on the public speaking. I am negotiable there, but I am not negotiable with it not happening. It has to happen. This thing is out of control. I will address some of the other issues later and make it even more clear to you if the opportunity arises in this meeting. The other item I want to raise right away, we had a disagreement about walking in and signing your name. Now, according to some judges now, with the open meeting law, that's not cool. We can't do that. And you'll know, I didn't argue with it. I will respect that rule of law. However, I want everybody to know where I was headed with that. This building, in my opinion, needs a lot of renovation. This place needs some work. My vision there is to put the doors in a different place. This meeting right now is wide open. Are there any pistols in the room?
I haven't got one. I've got a permit.
Okay, there's no
I was
pistols in here.
18, but.
You know, and all I can do is sit here and ask, well, are there any pistols in the room? You realize when you walk in the door of this town meeting, there are no cameras and no metal detectors. Walk into about any other township in this area, you'll find at least cameras and in most instances metal detectors. As far as I'm concerned, I have not signed up to be a target. And as tempers flare, things get out of control, one of these days, I love the Second Amendment, but one of these days, some jerk's gonna show up with a gun. I'm not going to be here under these present circumstances. All right, I'm not going to be a target. Now, if you want to put someone else up here, you just be my guest. But this board is going to be buying metal detectors now, and we're going to be buying cameras. The other day, I was using our recycling up at the town barn. A simple service for the town to provide. You know, there's a 200-pound TV in that dumpster. We need cameras. We need security. It's got to happen. I didn't want to buy cameras twice. I didn't want to place them twice. And I didn't want to buy metal detectors and place them again. I thought I'd use a soft touch and just asking for signatures coming in. But if we can't do that, that's okay. It's going to cost the town more money. I didn't want to go there, but I'm going to now. That's it. I'm non-negotiable on that item. That's the way it's going to be. It's going to be my way. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's going to be my way, or I'm going to hit the highway. Yes.
You're not in as bad a position as the judge.
Let's get to the judge. When I'm here in the past.
I'm saying we need it for you, and we need it for the court, too.
When I'm here in the past, this board, before I got here, made arrangements to hire the sheriff. We hired the sheriff to come in and be here when our judge was in session that night. Then, somebody decided not to pay the sheriff. 6 months later, the sheriff didn't show up. He showed up for nothing for 6 months. We can't do things like that. All right? I'll straighten it out, but I'm not going to sit here and play by some of the rules that have been here. It's got to change.
Are you open to comment, Bill?
Sure. I told you, this is a public meeting here now.
On issue number one, it strikes me that we have to have legitimacy, and if we don't have some public comment, we won't have it. Because people are telling us, not the rare open meeting for an issue, the rare public.
We need rules.
Yes, but in order to constrain and also allow the public to make its voice felt, we need to have the monthly public comment, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you.
If it's not required, it's a desideratum, meaning that it's something that you would like to have, because that, and I personally have not experienced people being way out of control. They get heated sometimes, but that's in the cards. On the second issue, if we go to a metal detector, then we are saying, and I don't want to sound too much like the NRA here, but we're saying that this is a gun-free zone. And if we do that, then, you know, even though I'm a Democrat, I've been an NRA member, it means that we could be inviting, paradoxically, people to take advantage of that.
There's a possibility. We need to discuss it and come up with reasonable things. Now, I belong to the NRA. I love the NRA. I love the Second Amendment. My daughter-in-law is a state policeman.
Yep.
Before she was familiar with this territory, she tangled with a guy with a .30-06.
Sure.
There needs to be a harness on the First Amendment and a harness on the Second Amendment in this town meeting. Both of them. And we can do that.
Well, one might ask, can you really harness the First and Second Amendment?
It has been done. How many people walk into our state senate with their fingers up in the air and their blood pressure up and holler at our representatives?
They probably
there?
go through a metal detector there because
That's right.
it's been said, but aren't there police on the spot to secure the security of that building?
You want to hire a policeman to come here every time that there's something in session? It's 5 days a week in this place.
Oh, I know.
Sorry,
I think we can do it more
confused.
reasonably.
Are we on old business and discussing the resolution?
I think we're discussing
51, or
we're
are we
discussing
just-
what Bill brought up.
Just to keep you clear on this, Chris, we're on the supervisor's budget report and comments, you'll note I wrote in there. And I introduced this meeting as a New England-style town meeting and said anybody can speak anytime they want to raise their hand. That's where we are right now.
That's fine, but it seems like we're actually discussing resolution 51, but I'll chime in on the comments. There is no such thing as harnessing the First Amendment. I mean, this is.
Well, you can't yell fire in a crowded
Well,
theater.
correct, but this is ridiculous. And if we're gonna look at the town law manual, it says that we're allowed to limit the scope and the duration and time of public comment.
I actually said something that implied that.
Okay, it says it there, which is fine, we currently have that. I feel having a resolution that is open-ended at best to suspend such public speech is tantamount to running a dictatorship. And
Once again, Chris, you're reading and taking off the page what you want to and leaving it very important on the page.
Words mean things, and I understand words, and so I wish you could understand words too, because half the time you just kind of make up what you want them to say. So let's be serious here.
Let's do that.
Okay.
It's going to be my way or it's going to be no way.
Well, actually,
All
you're
right.
only one of 5 people, and you have
You're
no
right.
more weight than anyone else.
You're right.
Just like you can't restrict the introduction
Okay.
of any rules, motions, or amendments that are not yours.
Let's get to the resolutions and see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's fine. You can do whatever you want, and I will request that there'll be a roll call vote so that it's
Oh,
recorded.
wow.
So
Boy,
it's
you got me
recorded
scared
who goes
here now.
against speech. That's fine. You know, you may think it's funny.
It
but
is funny.
I'll tell you, show of hands, who here wants their speech taken away?
That is not what
That's
that
not what he's
resolution says.
saying.
No.
You're misquoting
Oh,
again.
excuse me. Who wants public comment removed from the meeting, even for 1 month?
Sure.
Sure, huh? You want public comment? Okay, so where were you all those months that you insisted we have 2 public comments, including Paul Doe, who wanted one before and one after?
But you're missing the point since you directed at me.
Well, no,
Trustee
I mean,
Novak.
I'm here to
No,
support
no,
your right
wait,
to say
wait.
it, so go.
New England rules, I request a moment to speak.
You have the floor. We will disregard them at best.
Okay.
You know,
Mr. Novak, since you directed it totally at me, yes, I did want front and back. You are missing the point, all right? And maybe it's just me understanding what the supervisor is saying. He's not removing public comment. He's removing it for 1 month so you, the rest of the board, can set up rules and regulations so we don't listen to the same rhetoric bullshit every month by the same people.
It's fine, okay, I appreciate what you're trying to say, and I heartily disagree with it, because we should not remove public comment even for 1 moment. Okay, under the guise that we're gonna formulate a set of rules. We can have a working session and set a set of rules in a moment, okay? We can do that. We don't need a resolution to remove public comment for even a moment. And that's what I'm driving at. I defend the right for anyone, even how mundane and how over and over again it is, to speak, as long as it's about the scope of the town business or things that happen at the town, whenever they need to, whenever they feel the opportunity in our meeting to voice their opinion. Just like I've always listened to what you've had to say over the years, whether I agreed with it or not, and I'd listen to anybody in this room, and I've had my ass chewed over and over again, and not always with a smile on my face, but I accept it. And I feel this is the slippery slope to go down, and I wholeheartedly believe that the people in this room that have spoken and the people that have spoken to be elected should not for a moment consider curtailing this for even a second. Please do not
you guys
fall into
mind if I
this
speak?
trap. And we're
Anybody
giving
mind?
too much authority to one figure
Okay. I'd like
when
to speak. Do you
when
mind?
we do this. I urge you
Are
to
you,
stop.
are you done? Are you done?
I'm done at this point.
Okay, yes.
So, may I?
Sure.
Thank you. My name is John McClellan. I'm a resident of Palatine, and I'll add a one-time modifier that I am not a schoolboy, and I haven't been lectured to or hectored by a public official ever, including Schumer, people in Albany, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just be clear about a dynamic. I also had the opportunity earlier today to review the organizational meeting of January 1st. And one of the key things that come out of that is a theme set by the newly elected supervisor of respect. I was hopeful after that meeting that that respect was going to continue through the other cycles of meetings. And I've been disappointed. I know nothing about a New England style meeting operating in the town of any town in the state of New York. It's a misappropriation of a term. A town meeting in New York operates by the laws of New York, and I'm speaking. So one of the things that occurs under those rules is that there is absolutely no requirement for the public to be allowed to speak at a town meeting.
Doing that for a long time.
Not a problem. If the town board wants to vote for that, they can do so. I use the word board with emphasis because I'm having a hell of a time understanding where the insertion of a single individual's voice, new to the process, obviously a man of ego and a man who thinks that he owns things, operates within a town council of 5 elected officials. So you certainly have the right by law to do that, but I question, honestly, whether it is the rule of one person to do that, or whether it is the elected officials of this town. And we have all been to these meetings for years, and they have been heated. But that's not to say that the body politic and the public participation in that process should be cut off. So I would rather see something where we have a agreement instead of a dictatorship. I would rather see something from the board where they put forward a proposed rules instead of eliminating public comment in an open-ended way. We've talked about 1 month. There's nothing in this amendment for 1 month. This could actually go on forever. So I'll end my comments here with a reminder that the board is not a board of 1. It is a board of 5. And for those of us who have actually bothered to attend meetings, and supervisor, I'm addressing that to you, not having seen you at any previous ones, except for 3, by your own admission, on the organizational meeting in January, that you come up with a rational program before you vote. And it's the supervisor's right to resign and take the highway, if he so chooses. He's threatened it 3 times tonight, and he threatened it 2 meetings ago. I don't know what your feelings are about your investment in this town, but you speak about things being, helter-skelter and out of shape. You still have rotting records behind here. You still have a tax assessment that hasn't been addressed. You still have a whole litany of issues faced with a small town.
Boy, do I agree with that. Wow.
I'd rather see constructive time being spent by this board.
Constructive time.
I'm speaking, and the open meeting law makes that something that you don't participate in. So I would rather see a constructive list of things come out of this. Again, I was hopeful in January. If you review the tape, there was talk about busloads of people and tourism and all these other things. That would be a great thing to spend time on, instead of hectoring and cutting off and abusing other council members who are elected officials. The same defense that you gave when somebody admonished Linda that she is an individually elected official, you should apply that to your fellow council members. Thank you.
Mr.
Yes, yes.
Well, we've had a big discussion under public comment. How many people are afraid that somebody's going to come in here and shoot you because of not having or having public comment? We dropped the safety situation, which is an important thing in this building, far more important than public comment. And I have tried for how many years to get Linda and the judge to have more safety. It's an extremely important thing. And the only time you're going to realize how much it important is when someday something happens, and it may. I came here when the sheriff was here one night, and I asked him about the court people. Oh, he said, we certainly would not send anybody up here for arraignment or anything that were dangerous. I said, Sheriff, will you tell me how you're going to be sure that X won't sometime, right at that moment, become dangerous? Do something about that. Don't talk about it.
Anybody else? Yes.
All this Bill's trying to do is make us safe here and get some work done. That's all we've heard is public comment here. That's the only thing we seem to be able to go through is public comment. He's just open for discussion right now for us to discuss this. He's not taking public comment away forever. He's just taking it away so we can get some other rules and regulations set down so we can get some other business done here. This is ongoing for 4 to 8 years now. We've gotten nothing done. We haven't even gotten this building fixed yet. We don't have the security here. So let's just get through this, sit down, and let them vote on it.
Anybody else?
Yeah. How does public comment keep us from doing our due? How about you tell me? I mean, has it influenced you from voting? Have you not been able to put anything on the table because someone speaks their mind?
Do you want me to answer? You're going to keep talking?
No, I'm just posing the question. Go ahead.
Okay. I have a list here of little problems the state has found with the town of Palatine, and it reflects very well on what has gone on here for the last 4 years. Well, everybody's been talking and the public comment has been working good. Somebody took over $1.5 million away from the taxpayers. It really didn't have to be taken away from them. The tax level, according to the state, these aren't my words, has no reflection at all on the expenses of the town. And to go back a little ways in what you had to say, Chris, there is a subtle difference between the public comment, the way it is done now, and what I propose to come back with. Right now, the public is in control of the public comment. You can tell me your socks don't match, and I have to listen to you for 5 minutes. We just spent a half an hour now with the public comment, and you know, we're at the same place we were a half an hour ago. And that's why this stuff here that the state is after us about, and that is so important, doesn't get done. That's what's going on.
I'm sorry, you're deflecting.
No, I'm not deflecting.
How does public comment?
We have a finite amount of time.
No, we don't.
Oh,
We're
yes,
public
we do.
servants. We're supposed to take as much time as it takes to listen to the people that put us in office.
Summary of what the state controller had to say. A summary of some of the things that I would like to accomplish that I haven't been able to. I'll give you a little more time to read it.
Well, one thing we've done, Bill, is we've drilled down into the issues having to do with public comment just now, so it wasn't a waste of time.
No, it wasn't a
I
full
mean,
waste of
because we
time.
filled it in with details.
But we can't live here. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we're not gonna have this conversation again too many times, I hope.
No,
I'm
that's
not
right.
saying don't live here, you know,
No,
but,
we can't live here.
but to me, this is just one person's opinion. We were doing okay with what we had, which had very little to do with this, because somebody in knew something, had these all been issues, which I guess they are, could have posed it to the board, and the board would have worked on it at that point.
This board has been unable to deliberate except at my February meeting, where we had very few people in the audience, and we really got some work done with regard to the highway department vehicles, their use, their age, how much they cost. And I sent that down to the State Department. They sent me back a letter and said, thank you. And it's the first positive comment we've had out of
Well,
it.
I understand that, but not to be amnesiac about this, but you yourself have done a lot of stuff since you've been here. For example, the situation with investments. That was voted on, that was approved. So it's not like we never do anything. I think that's an illusion.
The accountant doesn't
And-
want to
and
come to
the-
a board meeting. He doesn't like the attitudes.
Right.
I can't get Candle Lake Computer here. They don't like what goes on here. They won't serve here.
Oh,
Well,
I
then,
think- I
let's
think
fire
that-
them, because that's not our problem. That's not our problem.
Yes, it
You know
is.
what, this is
This
a
board
clever
meeting
ruse.
is the problem.
This is a clever ruse of you to take control and to stop public
No,
speech.
I'm bringing it back to the board. It's gonna be up to a vote of the board, Chris.
Okay, and, well, fine, let the board vote where their conscience lies, and you know what, the voter will decide what to tell them
That's right,
when
at the
their
next
term is
election.
up. But it seems to me that after it failing 4-1 last month, to bring it back up again, is folly to begin with. Why?
Do you want to get into everything that happened in between the board meetings, with people going around to people's houses and yelling and screaming and all that good stuff? I thought we could stay above that.
You know what?
But if you want to go there,
I have people visit me all the time, and
I'm surprised, given what your house looks like.
you know what?
Oh, jeez.
Let's keep going, please.